Okay, so good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's session, very special session of Ask Us Anything Scholars Voice. I am Kuhu Chauhan, and I look after admissions and outreach initiatives at ISPP. And I'm really glad that you all could join on a weekday evening with us. Thank you so much. It is my observation that it becomes a little difficult for everybody who's trying to find the right path in the field of public policy. Uh, to be honest, it feels like a maze, starting from applications, then going to your written assessment, interviews, and finally wondering what life would be like initially in the classrooms and what it would be like policy practitioners. So that is why we have brought together three people who were in your shoes a while ago, and now they are here with us as our current PDM scholars. So let me just uh, introduce you to our speakers for today. Just a second. Yes. So it takes me immense pleasure to have these speakers with us. I have my daily conversations with them, but it's so good to be discussing the course with them today. So we have Shashwat Agarwal, who's our current PDM scholar. We have two more panelists who will be joining us soon, Ms. Unnati Patnaik and Ms. Aishwarya V. They've got a bit of a technical glitch, so they'll be joining us soon. And before we, go into details and look at PDM with a closer lens, let's look at the foundation of ISPP and the program itself. So ISPP started in 2018 with a vision to democratize public policy making in India and foster impactful and inclusive governance. With that thought, while we have grown into including executive education programs, uh, dedicated research centers, our flagship offering is postgraduate program in public policy, design, and management. Just a second. Shashwat, is Unnati and Aishwarya joining?
Yeah, I'll just confirm it with them.
Okay, thank you. It looks like you're in the campus.
Yes, I am. I'm still on campus.
Okay, okay. So while they join, let me give you a framework of what the PDM program looks like. It's a 1 year full-term program, uh, and we follow a 4+1 model. So you have 4 terms, each spanning 10 weeks, dedicated to your coursework, regular classes, your interactive labs, and your interactive labs, and your sessions that go workshops that go hand in hand. The 5th term is dedicated to your independent study and internship. I would also like to highlight the unique features of the PDM program. So the immersive learning experience, I would say beyond classroom, the interactive labs that we have, the way we engage in the interactive labs in our signature TN policy sessions, which kind of act as a bridge between theory and practice. And I think a recent addition to it is the Friday Forum, where we invite guest speakers from academia, from industry, to talk about their life journeys, to talk about their experience in the field of public policy, to take up the questions from our current scholars, to guide them for the path ahead. And again, one unique feature is our partnership with Harris School of Public Policy, which brings a global lens to the field of public policy. So that is a bird eye view of what program entails. But now I would like to take a back seat because we have someone who's living the journey. So Shashwat, why don't you start by a little bit about your background
Yeah.
and what was the moment or what got you interested in public policy?
Right. Okay. Firstly, thank you so much, Kuhu, for inviting me, and to everyone who's joining in to hear me go on a monologue, as long as the other two have not joined. Okay. So about my background, I'm 22. I did my bachelor's in political science and IR from Ashoka University. Um, where I also dabbled a little bit in the impact space, where I was working. I did a couple of internships with the Riddhi Foundation, Government of Delhi, and that got me quite intrigued into the education and healthcare space, and broadly working in and around the government. Um, that was the starting point for me as to venturing and thinking about public policy space. But then moving forward, I worked for a year in an tech firm. Um, and again, that was a corporate-ish environment. And I felt the gradual need to, uh, you know, upskill myself in public policy and to explore the space a little more, understand the space better, because my understanding of the public policy space was a little narrow. And yeah, that got me to ISPP.
Okay, perfect. So when you said your understanding of the field was a little narrow, and I'm sure you must have your doubts, you must have your questions, a lot of questions, and you did had a work experience, so I know you got that exposure. So in terms of the kind of doubts you had, that kind of second thoughts you have when you when you opted for this particular field, how was that experience for you, and what guided you? And in terms of what were the key points or key moments when you think, okay, yes, I'm choosing the right place, I'm choosing the right course.
Right. Okay. So when I was considering public policy in general, um, my idea or my vision behind choosing public policy as the domain was entirely that, um, firstly, I want to be in and around government, as I said, one. Second, to be someone who is influential enough to be around these government spaces, I need to understand the space first. I need to understand what public policy is. What does it actually entail? I knew of broad functions. I knew maybe public sector consulting, impact consulting, or just impact jobs around. This was me before I joined the course. And then moving forward, what are the opportunities that I can get through an institution that can get me to these places, right? So with points two and three, I can say that I have much more clarity now, now that I am halfway through the program. That's one. And secondly, again, I understand the public policy space better. I know exactly where I can contribute, what my particular niche has become over the last 6 months, and what I would like it to be going forward. I think
Thank,
Aishwarya and Unnati have joined
yeah,
us as well.
perfect. Thank you, Shashwat. And yes, we have our other speakers here with us. Just a second. Hi, Aishwarya. Aishwarya, can you hear me?
I think there's some network glitch that's happening on their end.
Oh, okay. So I think till then it's both of us.
Yes.
Yes. So apart side your doubts, apart side how you came into the field of public policy, now I think you're halfway through. It just feel like that's been just, yesterday that we were talking about you enrolling into the program, and now you're halfway through the
Yes.
program, right?
Yeah.
So how has been that journey in terms of, if I say, see, let's talk about academic learning, Shashwat, because I know a lot of people who are now thinking of joining the PDM course, joining ISPP. I'm sure academic learning, of course, forms the foundation and base for the program. So in terms of academic learning, what was your experience?
Mhm.
Everybody comes with certain mindset, with certain experiences, and when you join a course like this, what I
Mhm.
have heard from previous batches also is like what I was when I joined and what I am, my thought process has completely changed. So I would love to know, how do you feel about it?
Right. So again, firstly, yes, just around this time last year, I was attending one of these open houses and asking my doubts and questions. So firstly, if any of you have any questions, do put it in the chat. About my journey here with academics. So public policy is um, it's not just, you don't see it through just one lens. It's not just sociological or just not political. It's also a lot more interdisciplinary than I thought it was before enrolling in the program. So when we started out, we were not just reading theoretical concepts of policy. We were also diving into case studies um, which are, you know, which deal with everyday life, how we live here. One of the first case studies we studied was the air pollution case, and what exactly are the problems plaguing, and what are the problems causing the air pollution around us today. But moving apart from that, that was the course that was Introduction to Public Policy. That was the course that we had started out with. We were also studying alongside economics and econometrics, basically statistics, in public policy. How do you think statistically, in terms of your public policy analysis, or all of these concepts? Though when you think about them just on a subject level, you might not instantly think that they are public policy related, but the beauty of public policy is it encapsulates each and every subject you might have studied across streams. We have a lot of engineers in the batch. We have a lot of people from non-humanities backgrounds. Aishwarya herself, she'll talk about her experience with law and how she transitioned into public policy. So various fields get encapsulated just when we're talking of policy. And one thing that I'll take away from all of this is understanding the space better, as well as just looking at the possible avenues that, in academia or in what spaces are there that you can explore.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Shashwat. I think it must have, I think, given an understanding to our audience, a bit of an understanding to our audience. And one more interesting thing that I want to ask is, uh, for the Friday forums, for the tea and policy sessions, you interact with a lot of speakers, right? Who's who of academia and industry. So if you have to take a session that struck a chord with you, whether it's a Friday forum, whether it's a tea and policy session, a particular speaker that struck a chord with you and you thoroughly enjoyed, I would love to hear if it's more than one.
Right. I think that's good too. So we had Mr. Anuj Gupta, who is currently leading Bar Group India. He was one of the speakers who has tremendous years in public policy. He served in the Ministry of Commerce. He served in the Ministry of Coal Mining. Um, we went through not just his experience, not just what he's done, but also um, what it takes today to actually be in the space of public policy, how we can contribute to the space uh, in its entirety. Again, I would love to hear from the participants here on what is motivating you to be in public policy, because each and every person, I think, in the batch has a different motivation of being in this space. But the beauty about Friday forums and things like tea and policy is that you just don't just, you're not just hearing a 2 hour monologue of an individual talking about their 15, 20 years of experience, but also on what you can take away from it and how you can understand a entirely different aspect of the space. So this was Mr. Anuj Gupta, who has worked across ministries and across government departments and been an advisor to I don't know how many ministers in the government today. And then there was Mr. Subir Shukla, who has been working on the grassroots. He's been working on the grassroots since 1998. He's been uh, reforming the education space. He's working on foundational literacy and numeracy. Again, one of the major challenges that India is facing in the education stream. And again, that was a very inspiring session for me personally, because um, Mr. Shukla has contributed 25, 27 years of his life on one agent. And that's something that I was really intrigued. He has designed, he was a very core force in designing NEP 2020, teacher frameworks, teacher guidelines, and meeting them and asking them your doubts one on one just gives you a different sense of clarity about what you can do, or what are still the problems that you can drill down on and research more about and learn more about. So I think those are the sessions, multiple others, but those are the things that come to mind right now.
Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. So I think that's the purpose also of these sessions. There are few sessions that you take with you. I'm sure every session gives you that increase your knowledge base and gives you something. But yes, there are few sessions that you take that you keep close to your heart. Perfect. So I would request audience members also, all the attendees who are here, if you have any questions, you can put up in the chat box as well, or you can just raise your hand and we'll take up your questions.
Perfect. Again, please ask questions. As something that I can say from previous experience, I badgered Kuhu with a streamload of questions before joining the program. Reasonable to have your doubts, reasonable to have your questions lined up, but do ask them if you have any.
I think we have Aishwarya as well now. Aishwarya, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, we can. All enthusiastic. Good to hear your voice.
We are incredibly sorry about this.
No worries, no worries. Just give me 1 second.
Sure.
Perfect. Yes. So let me put the spotlight on Aishwarya. If you can just, Aishwarya, if you can just, switch on the camera.
Hello.
Hi. Just a second. I think my system is also struggling a bit today.
Common problem.
Yes. So this is Aishwarya. So Aishwarya, if you can just, share a bit about your background and how you finally decided to join public policy. Shashwat has started from beginning and we've covered a lot with Shashwat.
That's amazing. I would have loved to listen to it, but unfortunately, technical issues.
No
So,
worries.
my background is in law. I have completed my BCom LLB in Tamil Nadu National Law University. And after my BCom, I have sort of worked for a period of like 5 years. Sorry, 3 years. And in these 3 years, I have had the opportunity to work on multiple like due diligences, transactions, and all of that. So my interest in public policy sort of evolved in law school itself, right? As everybody knows, there is a good intersection between law and policy in itself. And I sort of had the opportunity to explore that in my law school, and my interest in policy evolved from there. Because one of the things you learn in ISPP is what makes a good law, right? And the answer to that eventually is a good policy in itself. So, as someone who's also been interested in getting involved in the lawmaking side, that is also sort of how I got into the public policy space. So, 3 years of job, I wanted to switch up to see what else I can do in the law sector itself, and that is how public policy. That's how I took the public policy route. So, in searching for public policy school, I found out about ISPP, and here I am.
Perfect, perfect. I believe Unnati is also with you.
Yes, Unnati is here. Let me just put her up.
Okay.
By the way, uh, just so you can look, there is a fabulous campus behind me right now. This is the wall that has a lot of sticky notes, which has our aspirations going forward written on it. The orientation week that we come for, we write these small tidbits of aspirations and a lot of posters about what the year forward is going to look like. If any of you are in Delhi, I think Kuhu would be very happy to arrange an open house so that you all can visit and look around the campus.
As Shashwat mentioned, I will be extremely happy if you can visit the campus. You can meet our kind scholars. And we have Unnati, finally.
Hi, so sorry about this. Well, hi. I believe everybody has covered a lot of the aspects so far. What would you like me to cover?
Okay, so everybody has talked about their backgrounds and how they got interested into this particular field of public policy.
Mhm.
So I would like you also to give everybody an understanding about your background and what was your moment to, when you decided that you want to join a public policy program.
Of course. So, personally, I come from a background that many consider non technical. I come from a very humanities background where I did my undergrad in political science and geography. I did have like stints with the parliament, and that's where I sort of got my clarity on what I wanted to pursue my education further in. Because in the parliament, all we talk about is policy. And I while I was exploring my avenues, I came across ISPP, which was offering this like 1 year course, which had a lot of validity to it. It wasn't just a certificate that you get and get done with, sort of. It sort of carried like that weightage that I was looking for within that 1 year framework. So that was sort of my inkling towards coming to this institution. And so far, I've not been let down. I see the faculty that is so versatile and so knowledgeable in their fields. They're so accomplished in their ways, be it Subhashish Gangopathyay or Pranab Sen or O.P. Agarwal. These are like very well established people, and they're coming and teaching people like me who had no idea about certain subjects, certain fields, and giving us that preliminary education of sort, which I personally liked a lot. One thing I would say to the aspiring scholars out there who are not so familiar with the course, I too wasn't familiar of what this PDM course was supposed to look like for me, because I come from a background which did not have a lot of things to do with economics, particularly per se, or stats was only limited to psychology for me. But here we learned everything, like the nitty gritty of the foundations of it all and intersectionalities and how it is so diverse, how it is so multidisciplinary. It's not just that these disciplines work independently. So I liked it. I like the way the school approaches these subjects and how it is so relevant to real world aspect. So that is my take so far. Let me know if there's more questions. You're on mute, Kuhu. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So now I think everybody has an understanding of all three of you coming from different backgrounds and coming together for this particular cause. Just one thing that I would like to again ask all of you is sorry, somebody said something? Okay. Okay. So one thing also that I want to cover here is when you say when you mention faculty, so which is an important aspect for any program. And now I think you are in term 2. You have 4 terms. 5th term is of internship, so you will be going away, right?
Sweet.
Yeah. So now you've completed your 2 terms, right? Term 1 and term 2. So how was that experience? What was your term 1 like? What was your term 2 like? And also, as Unnati mentioned, economics and statistics. You did not mention stats, though you mentioned economics. This is what I get to hear from a lot of people, that we are not from economics background. We are not from, we are a little scared of statistics. So how did you guys cope up with that? Was that too daunting? Or how did you get the help? How was it for you? Because even I also do not know that. I
Uh,
think,
so
yes.
I can probably start off.
Yeah.
So again, I think the last time I had done mathematics was probably in my 12th grade, which was like 8 years before I started ISPP. So the fact that there was microeconomics, macroeconomics, and statistics was sort of daunting, yes. But I think ISPP sort of managed it well in terms of starting us off with a bridge course itself, right? The idea of a bridge course was sort of to provide like a level playing field for everybody before they walk into ISPP itself. And even after walking into ISPP, all of our classes, which were taken by eminent professors, was sort of supplemented with tutorials that were taken by alumni, so that if you think you have dumb questions or questions that you're too scared to ask the professors, you could always approach alumni because they have always been in the same situation that we have before. So apart from that, professors are also open to even the silliest doubts that you have in your mind, and trust me, we have asked silly questions in our class without a doubt. So I think professors are also incredibly open to teaching. They understand the fact that all of us come from very, very different backgrounds, backgrounds that are not, based on economics or statistics. And, we sort of uh, struggle at least a bit to cope with it. But at the end of the day, ISPP is a very intensive course, and they do expect you to sort of put in the effort to catch up with them. Uh, and they do whatever help it is that is required from their side to help you, but there is a huge expectation or a burden on you to catch up with whatever is being taught, because once the classes start, there's no stopping them.
You know, uh, just like branching off of that, what I saw personally was like, because there was a mix in my cohort, right? Like in our cohort, which was like a lot of people came in directly after their undergrads. A lot of people came in after like prepping for UPSC for a couple of years. And there was a bunch of us who was coming in from their workspace. Like they had been in the work industry for anywhere between 2 to 4 years or 5 years. And they are coming back to gain this like added education for themselves. So the first term, definitely like the bridge course was a really great way for like setting our expectations academically and like commitment wise, where the professors were very clear about what they expect out of us, what they are going to deliver to us, and how we can work around to get to that expected end goal essentially. uh and that end goal being that we walk away with the knowledge that they're trying to give us, that base idea of what the subject is all about essentially. The first term I definitely saw like there was this like thing that people who were especially coming after working for years, they had this like tough time grasping the idea that they don't get to make their time schedules, somebody else has prepared their time schedule for them and they have to adhere to it. So that was something that I found interesting because I was coming in directly after my undergrad, although there was a little bit of a gap, but it was like, okay, I just need to stick to a timetable. So that those differences were there, which were getting mitigated through peer-to-peer interactions, which I found really interesting. How like the peer-to-peer interaction was coming at play to mitigate for all these kind of side of things. When it comes to stats, like Kuhu mentioned, my personal exposure to stats was back in my 12th grade when I had to study psychology. So the only things I knew about stats was this is a sample size. You have to figure out the inferences from this sample size, and there are going to be outliers in this, which we have to ignore to get a good inference out of that sample. But in here in the course, like what's different about the statistic is that we get to learn like personally for me was that we really actually went ahead and understood what all of this really means, not just in the lectures but also in the tutorials, where we had like added assistance from like the faculty and the alumni. That was really an interesting aspect for me because that is not something that I saw in my college in DU. but here at ISPP, I saw that, which was really cool for me. And other technical subjects, like in eco, there are like multiple subjects, and then we have like these interesting labs where we learn how to actually like put out research papers, how to like actually make policy briefs, and all of that actually like felt very interesting. Like the way they are conducting it is definitely not the conventional way, but I really enjoy it so far. Sashwat, I feel like you have something to add.
Yes, right there. So Unnati also talked about the bridge course, right? So I think that was a really good step for all of us because as someone who's new, again, we have both studied mathematics until class 12. I had left it way back in class 10. So it was an even longer gap for me. But honestly, the bridge course was uh, right before the classes began. It was 3 weeks of online classes in the evenings where we used to get to, basically bridging the concepts for anyone who is not from economics, not from statistics, right? And getting a look and feel of what studying and what academia again is going to look like for anyone who has taken that long gap. So that was one. And secondly, I think Aishwarya also talked about learning from all of these faculty and the challenges of learning from challenges in learning this in such a short span of time. One thing that you should know is when you're committing to the course, you should be open to learning. That's one thing that I will always tell anyone who's applying. Learning at a quick pace, more so because the kind of progress that you have to make through the terms, you have to gradually get onto the setup, get onto anything and everything that is taught to you. Again, you do get a lot of support from the team. You get a lot of support from each and every person on campus in the learning teams. So you don't have to worry about not catching up. But openness to learning is essential.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Shashwat. Thank you, Aishwarya, Unnati, for, sharing how was it for you. I think there is one question before we move forward. Let's take that question. I think Shashwat would like to answer. Do you? Anybody can answer.
Yeah.
Open.
Okay. I'll take it.
So I think it's from
So
Nandika.
yeah.
So
So
as
Nandika has
someone from,
asked about humanities and
yeah,
UPSC. Will As someone from humanities and UPSC, my education has multidisciplinary and analytical aspects. Will a PDM degree help someone with it? Yeah. So a couple of things that we have mentioned about, UPS. There are a lot of UPSC aspirants who have tried for the UPSC over the past 2, 3, 4 years and have switched to public policy as their alternative, right? Uh, Firstly, it is going to support whatever degree in humanities you have done, be it economics, statistics, sociology, psychology, political science, the entire spectrum of things. Because, as I said, it is interdisciplinary in nature. Public policy applies to each and everything that is out there. So, yes, that is certainly there. But again, one thing that even uh, generally the humanities students in the class would say is um, the entire mathematics and statistics part of it. Um, that is a little tough to grasp. So again, be open to learn and you will have a good time because you'll be surprised to know how much of each and every aspect of the technicalities of daily life is also solved through humanities.
perfect. Anybody would like to add on to that, Unnati or Aishwarya?
Sure. The one thing that I would add is that what I saw with my fellow classmates in the cohort who come from this like UPSC prep background had this thing that, oh, we have this like gap in our resume. How do we build that up when it comes to the employability side of things? But those apprehensions were being taken care of by the faculty here, and results are being delivered. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this cool or not, but right now when our like placement cycle that is going on, which over there we see while we're being taught how to build resumes, how how to approach the industry, essentially the people with apprehension, their questions are being met with answers, and like quality answer. It is not that they are being left in vague. So when it comes to that aspect of things, that is also taken care of outside of like just education, if that is a, a question that has raised in anybody's head. I just thought I should address that.
Perfect. So that is something I think that's very interesting that you touched based on. So this is also one of the queries that we receive a lot for our OCS service. So OCS is Office of Career Services, as Unnati just mentioned, that from resume building to helping you reach out. So see, you guys are the people who are experiencing it firsthand. So I think rather than me, you are the best people to talk about. So how the experience with OCS has been, what do you think works in favor of the scholars?
I
Sure, you
can.
want to take the lead of this? Yeah.
Sure. So I think the intention of the OCS is to help us with every single aspect of our professional development, right? So we have a lab called the Professional Development Lab, where we have industry experts sort of helping us with every single aspect of our appearance, our interaction, our what do we do pre-interaction, during the interaction, post-interaction. Basically, the intention here is to help us understand how networking works in proper corporate spaces, so that when you walk in, you project yourself as a policy professional, not necessarily as a policy student in itself, right? So the OCS, along with the Professional Development Lab, have sort of been helping us by throwing light on how all of these particular aspects work, how it affects our image, and how we can project ourselves better in multiple ways. And this sort of works better in a way where they have like a one-on-one approach, rather than saying that these are the general things you should do, go ahead. Of course there are general guidelines, but they have the patience to sit with each one of us to understand where we are, in which stage of our career we are, so that they can help you based on who you are, who you want to be, and how to get there.
So if I have to sum it up, it becomes a little adaptable, because everybody has a different, set of strengths. Everybody has a different background. Everybody comes with certain aspirations.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh, and I would say that it's not just limited to the opportunities that the institution is bringing in from their end, because I think that was one of the things that they cleared out from the very first day, that we are not limited to them, and their help is not just limited to what they are to provide, because those were that was like be it career or be it going for like a higher education, because some people would want to go for a PhD after this or want to pursue a career in research, and the OCS is there to sort of like guide us essentially wherever we want their guidance, wherever we want their inputs, wherever we want their help. They made it very clear that they would be available for us, and the connections they have, wherever they can leverage that for us, be it to have these um what do call those workshop sessions, or like guest lecture sessions. They made that very clear, and we are seeing that those guest lectures are being conducted, those workshops are being conducted, and they are actually very useful for freshers to experience folks. So yeah, there's that as well.
Yeah. Case in point, we had the India directors for public policy for Lego here on campus last week. We are having the Microsoft MD for Public Policy India this week here on campus. Again, all of these are sessions that are arranged by the Office of Career Services. Apart from that, as Unnati also mentioned, there are social impact consulting workshops that people from the space have conducted for us. Again, goes on to mention that those were alumni from ISPP itself who are working in these spaces, who came in and conducted these workshops. So the alumni network that the institution possesses, as well as the overall network of faculty as well as advisors at the institution professors is unparalleled.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for sharing that. And one interesting thing, again, that you guys mentioned is the PDL lab, that is the Professional Development Lab. So just shifting from OCS a little bit from career again back to academics. So when we talk about interactive labs, right? A lot of candidates do ask, what do you mean by interactive labs? What do you mean by professional development lab? What do you mean by policy praxis lab, Antarang leadership lab? And I think you are the best people to address that question because you are a part of those labs. So one interesting lab that comes to my mind right now is the policy praxis lab. I think it's pretty interesting, right? So while let's just talk about policy praxis for a minute and then about the Antarang leadership lab.
Right. Okay. I'll start off for PPL. Policy Praxis Lab is one of the most interesting things that I have found here in my term the last 6 months because one, we are not just studying policies on in theory for a second for a minute there. We are actually going on field, talking to our stakeholders, seeing the problems that they have, and then coming up with solutions, and not just solutions. We are going the entire policy cycle and discovering what are the implementation gaps, what are the adoption gaps that can arise at so and so stage. So again, going that entire distance of connecting with who your real stakeholders are on the field is the entire motivation behind PPL. And that's something that I feel distinguishes a lot of how policy is taught in India currently. It's theoretical, it's armchair, it's echo chamber centric. And this is breaking that echo chamber, and actually you get to know a lot more about the tiniest of problems that you might just ignore from your armchairs. You might actually just go and witness them in person. Ishwarya, Unnati, you want to take up the other bit?
Wait, Kuhu, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry. So I want to say, Unnati and Aishwarya, do you want to add on to that, or you want to talk about?
Sure. So if I were to add on to the PPL lab, what I would say is that since these were not just individual activities either, these were group activities. So through that, we get to learn more about our peers as well. And those peer-to-peer interactions also help us not just during the course, but outside of ISPP as well, because we see our alumni and their connection actually helps them not just in like their interpersonal life, but also in the professional life, which is something that was really amusing to me because I never thought that these could be leveraged both professionally and in interpersonal relationship. So that was something really interesting for me to take away, which takes me to the Antarang Leadership Lab, where we have one of our founders heading the lab, Louis Miranda, and along with him, it's Kanupriya who was with us for the first two terms, and they really like dealt it with aspects which we tend to forget while we are in this like rigorous course, because it is very intensive when it comes to academics, when it comes to delivering on those academic results and getting us to be the best in the field essentially. But within that, this Antron Leadership Lab sort of not, it's not just there to like teach us how to be leaders if that's what people think, but it's also there to like sort of um how do I put it? It's there to basically teach us that it's not just about like, who speaks out the most, who is like, taking the lead the most, but it's also about actually being human in ways that we tend to forget when we are in our academic space, in our occupation, and how to carry forward with this agenda throughout our career or like our academic journey, essentially. Ashar, do you want to add something?
Well, I mean, I think Unnati and Sashwat sort of pretty much covered everything, right? But let me try to add on to it. So, PPL, like Sashwat said, is sort of how ISPP is trying to connect us, help us connect policy with its practice, right? I think one thing that ISPP always strives to do is tell us how to think, right? And telling us how to think is not only theory but also practice. So this PPL is sort of giving us the chance to actually implement whatever theory that we've been taught on ground, to understand how policy problems are identified, how they are, worked on, analyzed, and how they are actually implemented. I think Sashwat pretty much covered the rest of it. Antrang Leadership Lab, again, the main intention is to help all of the students, especially the fresher students, to understand how a workspace can be, right? How dynamic it can be, what sort of personalities you come across, what sort of skills you will actually need to use in a workspace, right? Including like negotiations. So in term three, there is the plan to have workshops on negotiations with an eminent IAS officer. So its intention, at least, is to give you a perspective on the theory of all dynamics that you will face in workspaces, right? And how you exactly cope with it, deal with it in healthier ways in life. So I guess both of these labs are really helpful to all of us here.
Oh, perfect. And I think just since you mentioned about your PPL, your ALL Antrang Leadership Lab, and you have some event coming up, right? Which I'm getting a lot of news about.
Are
Sorry.
you talking about the trek?
I'm talking about Sansad.
Oh, yeah, that is before the trek.
I'm
True.
still on the academic. I'm still, on the academic trajectory right now.
Understood.
I
Understood.
for the last.
Sashwat, would you like to take a lead on that since you were a part of Sunset before joining ISPP as well?
Yes, this I would like to
Right,
add
okay,
on.
yes.
So yes, when Shashwat enrolled for the PDM program, and he registered with us, and he's like, the course would start in July, and what you guys are doing, what I can do, what we can study, what I can do before I join the program and the place. So we invited him. We invited all the applicants to why don't you join us for Sansad? Why don't you participate in Sansad? And Shashwat was the first person I remember whom emailed me, who I would like to participate in Sansad activities. I would like to understand that, and I was very enthusiastic to see him there. I was very happy to see you there. So yes, Shashwat, now earlier you supported Sansad activities carried on by the last batch, and now you're kind of a part of leading those activities.
Right. Yeah, so Sansad is policy case drafting competition, which is being held at the end of February of this year. I participated in it last year as a volunteer. You know, it just happened that there was an open house happening on the same days, and I wanted to see exactly what this flagship competition of ISPP looks like. So I ended up here, and we were discussing gig economy last year. One of the more fascinating parts about ISPP is how it brings its tagline into focus. The tagline of ISPP, if you have to know it, bringing public into public policy. So what the gig economy topic of Sansad had was they brought in actual gig workers for a session, right? So the stakeholder interactions looked somehow along the lines of the policies that were being drafted by all the teams. They were divided into chapters, and each team then again got the chance to talk to gig workers, Uber drivers, Zomato delivery partners, as well as Rapido bike drivers, right? And they were all here. And what are the actual problems that gig workers today face? There are no social security schemes for them. There are low pay standards. Their accounts get blocked randomly. All of these were issues that most of them, you might not have recognized, or you might have not thought about them at the first instance. But um, when you actually get to talk to the stakeholders, you get to deep dive into these challenges, and then you can make those policies better. You should know who you're making the policy for, right? And that's the main focus of what Sansad is, right? This year we're discussing AI and AI policy. I'm also helping out this year in terms of communications and outreach. If you want to know more about the topic, I think Aishwarya can tell you better about you know how we are planning on going about the discussion. Aishwarya, you want to take this up?
Thank you. So, the idea behind this topic is the huge controversy that was created, at least through like Ghibli Studios, right? When AI just picked up the design of Ghibli Studios. So, that gives rise to a lot of questions, right? When you create art or you create any content, does AI have any right to take over it? And if AI has the right to take over it, who sort of looks into it? Is it something that has to be regulated by the government? And if so, in what manner? Whose interest you're trying to protect? What is the interest that you're trying to protect in the first place? How are you going to go about it? And of course, since this is a bill, there's like law and enforcement. How are you going to bring it into the existing structure of the IP laws and all of that? But the idea is to deal with what sort of data is being used by AI to train the AI models, whether it can be used in the first place, whether what all permissions are required for that particular thing, if at all any permissions are required in the first place, and what is the best way to sort of ensure that all players' interests are being catered to in the best manner possible. So that is the idea behind the topic that we have taken into consideration for this year's Sansad. Hopefully, we will receive great ideas from the participants itself.
Okay, one question. So, Sansad, is it open for all? The applications are open for all?
Yeah, you just have to be a university student or, just graduated. You can form your own teams. It doesn't have to be from a university as well. Um, do join in if you are interested, if this is something that intrigues you.
And how should we go about it? How should, like, if some of the attendees wants to participate in Sansad, how can they go about applying for that?
So the application forms will roll out sometime in the next week or 10 days. Follow the page on Instagram called ISPP_policy review. You can follow that. Also, the ISPP official page will also be posting the application link as soon as it's out. And yeah, there will be a nominal registration fees, I think 500 rupees or 700 rupees for a team of 3 to 4 people. And you can participate. You'll be asked to submit an abstract though. The final teams will get selected through the abstract.
Okay. Just one more thing, like in terms of people who are gonna apply, right? If they are applying for Sansad, they are like I assume they have to submit an abstract before that.
Yeah, it's not really an abstract, just what their brief idea about this topic is, and what are the area, or what is the specific area of policy that they would like to contribute with. Something on those lines. The questions are being drafted, the form will be rolled out, and they can apply as soon as the
Okay.
application.
Just and also when we talk about when we are identifying the problems, when we are taking the current problems and trying to understand and figure out solutions, feasible solutions for them, that would include writing policy briefs, that would include writing blogs, writing articles about it. That brings me to my next question, that is your writing and communication lab, because I think this year I've been observing a lot of articles being shared by you guys, by the current scholars, and I'm sure everybody, because I know in my brief discussion a few days back in the evening, I think Aishwarya was a part of it, Unnati was a part of it, and they were thoroughly discussing about, oh, I have to reach out to this particular academician or industry expert for my project with WCL for the writing and communication lab, right? So I don't know how. I don't know if anybody, like, there are people who might have an expertise, who are very good with writing, or who understand how to go about writing policy briefs. But I'm sure, like Unnati mentioned, she is a fresher. Uh, Aishwarya comes from a law background, so I understand a bit of familiarity there. Shashwat has participated earlier, so I understand there would be a little bit of familiarity for you, right? So, Unnati, if I have to ask you in terms of writing policy briefs, how that writing and communication lab helps you achieve that.
Of course. So, like you rightly pointed out, I have not experienced this in a workspace setup. And this lab, where so far our instructors have been Vincy Davis and Swati, they throughout like the 3 terms that we have been put through so far, have done a great job to like first get ourselves to familiarize with why even writing and communication is so important in like a public policy space to begin with, and how they built up on that is also something I really have to give props to them for so thoughtfully planning out the course, because we started off with actually understanding the basis, the foundations of like writing and communication for public policy in general. Like regardless of what niche we pick up within the public policy domain, how it matters to like listen before we communicate ourselves. There was like a whole deal which we are continuing from the first term in the third term right now. There was this project which we had to do, which was called the policy listening log assignment, where we essentially had to listen to different areas of stakeholders, take into consideration what they had to say about a provision we felt passionately about, and we had to put in their thoughts into our paper. So, at the face of it, as a fresher, I thought, okay, it's pretty easy. I just take in whatever I see on the papers, be it like a research paper or a news article, and I put it down. But it's so much more nuanced. It's so much more deeper than that, is what Vinci taught us in the first term. In the second term, we also had this activity come workshop by Swati as a part of WCL, where we had to actively engage in actually no, we were not supposed to engage. So we had to put ourselves in these like spaces where there's a lot of public, but and it could be that there are no humans, but that does not make it not less public, right? So we had to put ourselves in these like public spaces and actually listen to the space, actually see for ourselves what the space is telling us without making our own inferences. So that also took a big deal for me to actually like keep my biases aside and to actually point out what I'm seeing for as it is, rather than putting my inferences on it, which is a very, very important thing to carry into our jobs, our research as policy professionals, I would say, because bias is one thing that keeps on coming in to hinder our judgment. And communication lab does a really good job at the unlearning process of it. So that's my take as a fresher.
Thank you, Nati. And now I would like to hear from Shashwat and Aishwarya as well.
Right.
Okay, I can. Okay,
Yeah, go
Shashwat,
on,
go ahead.
Okay. So, WCL is a very interesting course because what Swati taught us was how to think, how to write, and how to deconstruct any and every article or any piece that we read from, what is the author saying, what are the author's opinions, as well as what are the author's case, right? Deconstructing any and every piece, as well as how to build your own pieces. A very important skill in policy is how you communicate, right? Um, Policy communications is a whole different domain altogether, right? Um, how policy is articulated and how it's put through, as well as how it's researched and written about. All of these are central to how you think, as well as how you're able to put yourself forward. So that is what we've been taught throughout these 3 terms. First term was introductory. We learned about what policy making and what policy communication cycles look like. Second was more about how do you think and how do you communicate and write. And third, again, now we are dealing deeper into policy communication specifically in terms of the listening log that Unnat just told you about. How do you listen to a policy? As as absurd that this sounds, you do need to listen to a policy and listen to the intentions or the words that uh, have been very carefully pegged into you. So that's again, that's what I took out of it. Aishwarya, anything to add?
Aishwarya, since you're coming with certain experience also and also from law, so you already have an understanding. So what was the value addition that you found?
So, I mean, I think as a lawyer, I can tell you how important drafting is. And drafting is as important in the policy world, right? Because no matter how well structured your thoughts are, unless you can put it into a paper in a manner in which other people who don't have your background understand you, there's no point in your thought, right? And that is sort of what WCL intends to help us do. And props to our instructor, she sort of spoke to all of our alumni who are actually working in this particular field. And this entire course has been based off of what they actually do after graduation. Right. So, the most important sort of documents that you would be working on after graduation is what you get an insight to in class. And another thing that would be notable to mention here is that she makes us revise our work. Whatever we submit as a part of WCL, our instructor Vinci, she sort of goes through each and every submission, which is hard for a class of 60, and she gives us individual feedback, right? And this is really important in terms of drafting because the only way you learn drafting is by actually drafting. Nobody can actually teach you how to draft at any point of time in anywhere in this world. This is one thing that you learn only by practicing. And ISPP at least tries to offer a limited exposure to that particular practice of drafting, right? At the end of the day, it's something that you also have to take back home and do it a couple of times to get the hang of it. But at least our class provides us a good exposure or a good head start for everybody who puts in the effort to learn.
I think you guys summed it up very nicely, and I think we talked about the course, we talked about OCS, career services, we talked about labs, we covered a lot of things from guest speakers to sessions. I think it was all about learning, 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 but I'm sure ISPP is not that boring also, right? It's not just learning, it's fun also. Shashwat went on mute.
No, I didn't go on mute. I was just going to say, half of my questions that I was asking at the open house last time were about life at ISPP and what are fun things to do around ISPP. So if any of you have questions, only then I'll answer that.
Uh, I
Just
would
one
like-
thing. Sorry, Unnati, you were saying something.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
So I just want to understand. I know you guys go through rigorous classes, workshops, labs, but yet I see you all hanging around in the campus till 9, till 10, sometimes playing badminton, sometimes doing hanging around on coffee shops, right? And Shashwat is there in the campus right now as well. So apart from, I believe you create your own ecosystem when you go to a particular place. Shashwat, do we have any of the scholars right now with you?
I did. They just said bye to me like 5 minutes back.
Oh, I missed
Oh.
them.
Yeah, I was telling them to come join and say bye, but camera shy.
No
Well,
worries.
if
Yeah,
I
please,
need
Unnati.
to shed light on like life at ISPP, you see us both right now joining from like the same system because that peer-to-peer interaction actually helps us build those connections outside of the classroom as well. And there are these like, how do I put it? There are these instances that are brought about by the institution itself where like we have the system of squads where you go out, hang out with each other, and like everything is done with like these small groups. There are a lot of group activities that allow you to actually just interact with other people in your class and not just stick to the 2 3 people you're sitting next to the whole year around. There's also the aspect of Antram Leadership Lab where we have to go on this trek, which is coming up this March, which everybody in the class seems to be excited about.
The Naga Tibba track.
Yes.
Yes, the Nag Tibet trek, which is a part of the course. Believe it or not, I was unable to believe that a trek is a part of a course for the longest time. And that is something that's happening. So there are these all instances that are there where, and then most important, every term end and every term beginning, there are these sessions with Mana, which are great reflection sessions for the entire cohort, entire faculty to just come, sit with each other, bond, laugh about something funny that happened during the term, or like ponder about something that did not work out, that the cohort had planned, or something. We just discuss at length, we just talk with each other, and it's just, there is not because I come from these like institutions where there's like a clear segregation between the faculty and the students. You have to maintain that hierarchy. Here, I see it's more dynamic, where we the faculty is much more approachable. They do not shy away from interactions with the scholars, which is something that is difficult to find at institutions of this level. So I really appreciate that, personally speaking. Sashwat, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we celebrated Onam together, Christmas together. Those are again, just some things that we did on a daily basis. I think life here is very happening very fast in general, and the friendships that you make here help you cope up with the academic life to a very huge extent. So you do find a great support system if you're not from Delhi originally. Um, One is that, and second, um, as for things like the trek or just a random movie screening here and there, I think I remember the very first week, the orientation week that we had. We took a little trip to Sanjay One in Delhi with Lewis himself being there. And yeah, again, things like these just add to um, the chaos and the fun that ISPP is.
Perfect, perfect. Good to hear. Good to hear. I think we've already, crossed our time limit. We've
There's
been
one
going on.
question in the chat though.
Oh, yes. Can you tell us a little about accommodation for students who are not from Delhi? I think the two beautiful girls that we have with us here can answer that because they both are. I think Aishwarya is not from Delhi, and that applies for Unnati as well.
Yep.
So
So
before they answer, because what we do is we'll share you a list of accommodations, which include hostel, PGs, nearby areas. You can contact them. You will find our current scholars residing there. A few of our alumni is also residing there. So they bond over not only in campus or on LinkedIn, but also share the same premises to stay. So yes, Unnati.
yeah, I was just about to say that because I too had that apprehension as to where to live since since there's no accommodation within the campus, and I don't know where to go. But like you just mentioned, ISPP literally just sent out like a whole list of places, and currently my friends are living there. There's this like hostel right down the street from ISPP, where since like our batch is like women majority, more than half the girls from my class are living in that hostel, which is amazing, where we just go down the street and just visit them. If we forget a notebook, we can just grab from their room. Like it's really that close. And there are for the guys as well, there are like these co-living spaces, these hostels that are there where our batchmates are staying at, and our alumni. Like Shrija is living in this hostel. I believe it's called Hello World, where our current scholars are also sharing a space. And these are all pretty nearby spaces, which are very safe, very accommodating, and like the price isn't preposterous compared to other spaces in Delhi, because as somebody who is experiencing Delhi right now, people can try to loot you. So the options that ISPP provides is actually really reasonable given every circumstance that you might have to face coming to Delhi as a new person. So yeah, and they're very approachable in that matter. Any help you would require outside of academia, they are more than happy to help you out navigate it. So that's from my side, Ashwarya.
So I think in terms of accommodation, like Unnati said, what happens is that ISPP sort of reaches out to alumni to recommend where they stay, where they believe is a good place to stay. So what you'll essentially be getting is a list of places where people have already stayed. You'll be getting the prices, the addresses, and also sometimes the numbers and the email IDs of the people who have lived there, so that you can even reach out to your alumni to understand what sort of a space it is and whether you can, reside there for the 1 year that you are in Delhi. So that way, ISPP is pretty helpful in segregating, I mean, sorry, collecting these addresses and giving it to you. Uh, and I guess anything, Unnati and I will also be more than happy to help all of you with your accommodation. And we can put you in touch with our batchmates who can help you figure it out as well.
Yes, and I would request any of the attendees, we all are active on LinkedIn. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn. Myself, Shashwat, Unnati, Aishwarya, and other scholars as well, and alumni as well. We are all here to answer your questions. And with that, I would like to thank all three of you, Shashwat, Unnati, Aishwarya. It was great having you discussing the course. There were certain things that even I, you do not you do not think about it on a daily basis, or you just, when as the time passes by, you tend to forget. But I think it was a nice catch up for all of us as well today. So thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. And I would like to thank all the attendees also for joining. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, please do reach out to any of us. And with that note, a very good evening to all of you. Bye-bye.
Anytime.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Janani.